Have you wanted to learn how to code, but you're not quite sure where to learn or where to begin? Well, Python is a good place to start, and that's what this whole course is about. So I'm currently making a course that's going to be on everything that you need to know for Python. And the great thing is that even if you're not trying to do things that are related with Python, which you can do a lot, like websites, games, programs that will run different types of metrics, data, etc., you can actually use the basics that you learned from Python to apply to all the other different various programming languages that can help you complete tasks better that maybe you were interested in. Perhaps maybe you were looking at JavaScript or C++ for gaming. All these basics carry over into all the different programming languages. So Python is a very beginner-friendly language to start with, and that's why I decided to teach it and make a course for it. Completely free, nothing else, but all I'm asking is just for likes and views. So with that being said, this is the first video in my multiple video course on how to learn Python. So once we can learn Python, we can apply that to multiple different languages, and we can start building the things that we desire and dream of and start getting those jobs that will help us financially. And so this video is mainly to go over the course, the things you'll learn in the course, and the setup that you'll need for the course. So let's go ahead and get started. So if you've gotten this far, you're definitely intrigued and you're determined to learn how to program. So Python is a great first language. So we're going to be going over these couple things in this first video on what the course is going to be about and the setup for it. So we'll start with the setup and some information, and then we'll go over the actual course structure. That'll be it in this first video. So the first thing is we want to know why Python is important. So Python is a pretty popular language. I think it's like top 5 languages right now. And it is used for different data accessing things, back-end development. It's even used for websites. You can build full stack projects with it. It is a pretty good programming language and people like it. And a big reason why people like it is because it's easy to learn and it's easy to just use. And it has a lot of great packages for manipulating data and things like that. So if I left anything out, if you do have a lot of experience in education as well, please, if you can, if I make a mistake, just correct me in the comments and let the viewers know something that why I was wrong and what the better alternative is. Or if you just have some information to give, please do give that as well. I'm not claiming to be the god of programming or a 10x developer. The whole point of the 10x developer thing is that we're aspiring to be one, right? So yeah, I just wanted to make that clear and be kind of transparent with you guys. But the reason that's a great reason why it's a great first language, and it helps you also understand the basics. So it's easy to learn, easy to comprehend, and it'll help you gain that knowledge and basic fundamentals that you need for something. Just like anything you do in life, like sports, you practice the fundamentals. So that way, whenever you have to do something complicated, you don't have to think so much about the fundamentals. Same thing here with program, just using our brains instead of our bodies. So that's the importance and what Python is used for and why it's such a great first language. And even if it's not your first language, maybe you're taking this for a course in college or something, then it's great to learn as well and have under your belt, especially for resumes and things like that, and even just projects that you might stumble upon. So yeah, that's Python in a nutshell. The next one is we're going to be talking about installing Python. So there's going to be a link in the description down below. So I'm going to be doing this course on Windows, but you can also follow along on Mac OS and Linux. It's basically the same thing. I'll show how to do the installation on Windows, but if you need more further explanation for Mac OS and Linux, please feel free to just look at a video. All right, this course is going to be on a Windows machine. It's slightly different from Mac OS to Linux to Windows, but it's all pretty much the same concept. So you can do the same thing on every single machine, on every single OS. So with that being said, I'm going to show you guys how to download this Python on Windows, and I'm going to show you on Mac OS. Linux users, it's kind of hard to show, but it's pretty straightforward, especially similar to Mac OS. So if you do have a problem with it, please reach out and I'll try my best to help you get it installed. But without further ado, there will be a link in the description down below taking you to python.org. We're gonna go over the Windows installation right now first. You'll go and get to a screen or a website that looks like this. And so if we're downloading for Windows, all we're gonna do is download right here for the latest version. So There may be instances, if you're watching this in the future, where there's a newer version of Python, so something higher than 13 or 3.13. As you can see, you know, there was 3.8, 3.9, 10, etc. Just try and do the specific version that we're doing on this course, which is going to be 3.13. But if that's already here for you, then you can just click here to download the latest version. If you aren't able to find that, or if you're in the future, then you can just go to view older releases and you can find that through here, right? So if we go back, we're just going to download 3.13. And so if you're doing this for Mac OS, you can just click looking for a different operating system. Then you can click this link and it'll show you the ones for Mac OS. So all you're going to do is just download the latest. Same thing for Linux, and you'll see something like this, and these are the ones for Linux. And so now what you're going to do is you're going to hit the download button and it will save this file for you. Just go ahead and install that, and then you'll run it. So let's go and run this. And an important thing, don't do anything, stop, whatever you do. Make sure for Windows, you click the add python.exe to path. This is basically going to add it for Windows. It's important on Windows. It's not as important on the other operating systems, but I guess it wouldn't hurt for you to click it. The path is basically just allowing your machine to talk to Python interpreter. The Python is an interpreter, meaning that it needs the actual interpreter that you're installing right now, which basically looks at your files and reads them and compiles them down and makes sure that the code that you wrote was correct, and then understands it and spits back out whatever you were trying to accomplish, right? So if right now you need to install it in a different location, you can, but for me, I'm just gonna hit install now, hit yes, and it's gonna start installing, right? So I'll show you guys how to check this once it's installed. Be right back. All right, so it's now installed and it's giving me this setup was successful window. We can just hit close. If you want to learn more about some things with Python, you can just click some of these for the documentation, etc. But that's what the whole point of this course is, to give you a more thorough understanding of everything that has to do with basic Python. So we hit close. We can go to our terminal. So if you're on Windows, search terminal and it'll pull up this terminal, and you may see something like this, or you may see PowerShell, but what we're going to do is we're going to hit this drop down and we're just going to go to PowerShell. The way we can confirm that Python got installed is by typing Python --version. And as you can see, the version that we just installed right here is currently telling us which one we have installed. And so if you're not too familiar with it, with what I'm using right now, it's a terminal. Completely normal to be new to this, not understand quite what's going on. If you have background knowledge on the terminal, that's great. Basically, terminal is a way for you to interact with your whole computer system through command. So what we just typed right now, Python --version, is a command. Command is just basically like if you give a command to your dog, you're telling him to do something or her to do something, right? We're telling our terminal to do something with our machines and files and folders, etc. So as we progress through this course, we'll be using the terminal, and it's not necessarily necessary to know the terminal, so you can actually just use your files and folder and file explorer and things like that to follow along. The point of the course is for you to understand Python. But I will say that I recommend a couple good terminals, and some of those terminals would be the Warp terminal, which is pretty nice, but don't get too convoluted on different terminals and things. The default terminal for your system should work just fine. The next thing we're going to talk about, now that we have Python installed, is installing a code editor. So if you noticed, you might have never even seen this thing that I'm using right now. If you have, then that's great. You kind of already know what's going on. But for this course, I'll be using Visual Studio Code, which is a lightweight code editor, which is basically a notepad on steroids, which is a simple way of putting it. But basically you have a lot of different unique tools and things. But for this course, really all we're going to be doing is just writing code and running it. So then this is basically all we need. And to install this, I'll show you guys how to install it right now. All right, so we're installing Visual Studio Code. You may be wondering at the end of this installation why your Visual Studio is blue and mine's green. Well, the only reason that mine has a green logo is the fact that I'm using the beta version. It's not necessary at all. It works the same. The only difference is that the beta version has newer things that the latest version doesn't, right? So I should have everything that you have, and you should have everything that I have, except minus the new things, which we probably won't even be using because I really don't keep up to date with that. So yeah, but this is just the one that I default. So then you'll be at this screen. Link is in the description down below. it'll be the visualstudio.com/download link. And this is based on different operating systems. So pick your operating system, go through the installation, and you should be good from there. All you do is you just install it, and then you can click on it and it will open and you'll see something very simple, right? And yeah, so that's the installation for Visual Studio Code. All right, cool. Next thing is virtual environments. We will be using virtual environments within this course to basically be in one. The whole point of a virtual environment is more so when you start getting into bigger projects like web development projects and like that, where maybe you're using different libraries and things and packages that will help you do different things, and those libraries need to be installed. So a virtual environment is kind of like a command in the terminal. Once again, a command is just telling your computer what to do with some installed files or folders or anything on your computer. And basically what it does is it creates a cube, it puts that project in its own little cube, and everything that you install for that project stays in that cube. The reason is you don't want things from one cube or one project going to another project, is that maybe this project needs a specific version of the same library that is in this project. And so then maybe something might get out of whack. And also another good reason is that you can replicate other people's projects and the packages that are in them very easily through a virtual environment. So we're not really going to be utilizing those features and those functionalities with it and the pros that come with using a virtual environment, but we'll be using it so you can kind of get familiar with it. It's the only reason why. So that's virtual environments in a nutshell. Next are going to be some other helpful tools. So some things I recommend using are Notion for maybe taking notes or something like that. And feel free to use anything that helps you learn. And what I mean by that is it doesn't matter what software it is, as long as it's helping you progress and understand the coding language and the programming in it, and that's involved, feel free to use it. But remember, sometimes less is better. Don't get so convoluted and fixated on certain things. Really just focus on the material and the projects, and yeah, you'll do great. And you'll be surprised at how much you start learning, actually. So the next thing and the final thing is the course structure. So this course is going to be made into multiple videos that all combine into one full course. And so then that course will be everything you need to learn Python, basics of Python, basically. And so then the way it's structured though is we'll do videos, and then at some point after we've done X amount of videos on a certain amount of topics, we will have a milestone project. And so that project will be for you to utilize everything that you learned in those videos prior to this project. So I'll give a set of instructions and you'll work on your own. And then at the end, after you've tried everything, exhausted everything, and maybe you can't figure out, or maybe you did, and you'll watch and see the way that I did it. And it's very awesome in coding. You can actually learn a lot from the way other people code and use those techniques in your own. So I think this is a very good way. We train the brain, we learn new things, and then we actually utilize that information to reinstill it into our brains and build that muscle. So yeah, this is going to be basically the way the course is structured and the overview of it. So I appreciate you guys for watching. All you 10x developers, don't forget to join the Discord in the description down below. We have a bunch of people who are just like you, who enjoy coding, programming, and want to learn more, and also have a lot of experience, so you could learn from them as well, or maybe start getting into some things in the community. So with that being said, I want to appreciate you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.